hosted seminar on suggested protocols for restarting operations after a long lockdown. We all have been in various throes of suspense, in various throes of apprehension. We feel that there seems to be some light at the end of the tunnel now. And I think we should now all psych ourselves into thinking that we will be going to our factories, our workshops, our offices very soon. So BMPA decided, along with a few of our panelists, as well as Mr. Deepak Chawla, I'll introduce you to him in a minute, that we should come up with a small presentation to all of you. We want to suggest some protocols for you to restart your operations after such a long break. What Deepak Chawla, who's our friend from Technova, he is the General Manager, Marketing and Corporate Communications. They've already implemented all the systems that he's going to be talking about. And what he's going to be talking about today are 4 different stages. So first of all, he'll be talking about traveling from home to work. Then the time that is going to be for our people to be spending the time in the factories itself. How to travel back from work to home. And finally, what care needs to be taken at home. All of you, my friends, are currently muted. You will unfortunately not be able to unmute yourself. But if you have any questions, you are free to put your questions on the chat. Please put your name, your company name, and your question. And if we feel that there is enough time, we will definitely try and take a few questions and ask Mr. Deepak Chawla. Along with Mr. Chawla, we have Mr. Amit Shah from Spectrum. I myself am there who's moderating this entire program. I'm from Printline Reproductions. We are a packaging converter. We have Mr. Fahim Agbotwala from High-Tech Printing Services. They are also into packaging and inserts. And we have Mr. Sanjay Patel from Param Packaging, also into packaging. Our panelists have been in various stages of starting their businesses, already begun their businesses, trying to start their businesses. So we'll take the relevant questions and ask them. Hope you have a very informative and a responsive webinar. Over to you, Mr. Deepak. You please introduce what you're going to do, and please tell us what exactly you're going to do. So over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Iqbal Bhai. Thank you so much. And to begin with, I would first like to thank the the members of BMPA for giving me this opportunity to share with you our experience that we have had at Technova of restarting or rather continuing our operation or business continuity, as they say today, in this era of lockdown and COVID and all that stuff. So yeah, while the whole world was in lockdown, we were also started. We did shut down our plants. Even when the Prime Minister appealed for a Janta curfew. But then very soon we started getting a lot of requests from newspapers and certain critical packaging printers that they need to keep their operations on because they are a part of the essential commodities. And now for them to keep their operations on, they would definitely require consumables, plates, chemicals, etc. And so we had to keep our operations on. So yes, more than happy to serve the printing industry as we've been doing for more than 4 decades now. We had to plan for that, and a lot of preparation, a lot of planning needed to go into that, right from taking special permissions for operations, not only for keeping our factories on, but also for inbound, outbound logistics for our raw materials, for getting our products to the end customers, transportation of our own people. That was also an issue. And also taking, overcoming objections from the even the village panchayats and stuff like that, where our people stay, even their communities, because they were scared that if their people are allowed to go out and work, they might come back with an infection. So all those things were there because, as you all know, these are uncharted waters. Nobody really knows what is the right thing and the perfect thing to do. So everybody is learning, on the fly, on the run. Same as we have been same. So I had made a similar presentation, maybe about 2 days back to a smaller group, and that time we had just started our, our operations. After that, I mean, there have been so many more things which we have added, and so many new systems that we have added, and so many more learnings that have come in, and that's why now I've made a much bigger and a more comprehensive presentation, which I'm going to share with you today. So there might be a lot of things that a lot of you might find very relevant to your operations. So you can easily identify those and say that, hey, I can do this. Yes, I can. We must do this. But there will be certain other things which you might find are not relevant for you, which is also fine, because all of us have got different configurations, different scales, different types of works that we are doing in our organizations. So I will quickly go through the various aspects, as Iqbal Bhai mentioned. It's divided mainly into three parts. One is the travel to and from work. Second is at work. Now, how do we make the workplace safe for our people? Because that is of paramount importance. And the last one would be, of course, what do we advise our people to do at home, the precautions they need to take at home, because you might be workplace absolutely safe and absolutely take all the precautions there, but if your worker, if your employee is going home and not taking those precautions, he could be in danger, and then in turn endanger your plant. So those things are very, very important. So I'll just quickly go through go to the presentation itself. Let me just see. Just a second. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now. Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, okay, great. So as I said, the name of the presentation is Protocols and SOP, that is Standard Operating Procedure for Restarting.
Mr. Deepak, just give me a second. I would also request a few of the participants, if they can switch off their videos, then the streaming will be a lot better and you'll get a better sound, and the presentation will be more easier for you to see. So this is for all the participants who still have their videos on. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Deepak, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So if we look at, now before we go into understanding what all we need to do, let us just get a little bit of understanding of what is this corona infection and how does one get infected. So here, as you can see on the screen, it's divided into three parts. First is the source. What is the source of the infection? What is the means by which it travels and how can one get infected? And third, and the most important part on the right-hand side, is the protection. So as you can see, in terms of source, there are two ways of source. One is close contact and second is the respiration. Now, when you are in close contact to a person, the means is that it spreads from person to person. Everybody, all of us know that. It spreads when two people, different people who are infected and not infected, they touch the common surfaces. And also it travels, the virus itself can enter into the body of a person through eyes, through nose, and through mouth, when they are frequently touched with hand also. And then of course through respiration, where either if somebody is coughing or sneezing or even talking, because it is a suspended particulate sort of a virus which can travel through air also and through the openings on the face. But the most important thing, as I said, is protection. Now, to protect one from person to person spreading, one needs to do what? One needs to do temperature screening, because those are the symptoms. One needs to check if there are symptoms. Self-health monitoring, very, very important. And of course, social distancing. Everybody today knows, everybody has got this word social distancing and sanitizing and hand washing in their vocabularies now. Everybody understands this. Then of course, in commonly touched surfaces, to prevent for the infection from spreading through the commonly touched surfaces, you disinfect these surfaces very, very, very properly. And then of course, to prevent it from spreading through the eyes, nose and mouth, one does hand cleaning with soap and water. If that is not available, then of course a sanitizer with 65 to 70% alcohol content in that. Then if we have to prevent it from spreading through respiration, that is through coughing and sneezing and talking, we need to use masks. And of course, social distancing, so that the virus, even if it is ejected through somebody's mouth by coughing or sneezing, that is not able to travel the distance to impact or infect somebody else. So, as I said, we will be focusing on the protection part of it. Now, in the first one that we look at is the travel between home and work. Now, when you're talking about travel between home and work, whether you're traveling from home to work or work to home, the precautions are more or less similar. And what are those? Some guidelines which need to be followed are: one is self-examination of health status by the employee. So if an employee feels that he or she is not well, he should not even leave home for work. Temperature scanning while getting into the bus, that if the company bus is there to pick you up. Maintaining social distance at bus stops and pickup points, because this is one place where there is no monitoring happening and people normally tend to stand in groups, chit chat, etc., etc. So one has to maintain social distancing at these places. Always to cover your face with a mask as and whenever you're out of the house. Inside the buses or in pool cars, alternative seatings to be ensured. As you can see in the pictures below, you are not, no two people are sitting adjacent to each other. It is like next to, there's an alternate seat arrangement, so that there is a gap of about 1 meter at least between any two people sitting in the bus. Similarly, if it's a pool car, then again, next to the driver, this seat should be left empty. And here also, the person sitting behind should be diagonally behind the driver, not immediately behind. That seat also should be left empty. Similarly, you need to keep the windows of the bus or your vehicle open so that there is ventilation in the vehicle. And in carpooling, as I mentioned, sit diagonally and not behind each other or next to each other. So that's as far as the travel is concerned. Now, in terms of what are the health and safety protocols which are maintained at the workplace, which could be a factory, it could be a print shop, it could be an office, anywhere. Now, there, first of all, what we did, I will mainly share how Technova went about doing this thing. So there, we made a response team. The response team was headed by a factory manager, and under the factory manager, we had an HR head, we had the HOD, that is head of the departments, housekeeping, very important, and security. These were the main people which formed a response team to the situation. PPE and disinfectant inventory. PPE, as you all might know, is our personal protection equipment. So we
Deepak, I'm sorry, but can I just interrupt you?
Absolutely.
On the previous slide, could you just go back on the previous slide?
Yeah.
Now, do you strongly believe that this is imperative before we start our factories? Because in terms of choosing the number of people or the kind of people, we can of course decide and keep the people who we already have. But do you think that this is going to be very imperative when we start our factories? Do you think that this is the initial thing that should be done by all companies before we get going?
Yeah, I feel that there has to be, depending on the size of the company and the configuration of the company, as I mentioned earlier, one will have to decide the size of your response team. It could be a single person. But the point is, people in the organization should know who is going to respond to any particular situation and who is going to be accountable to maintain the environment and the safety and health in the premises. Because if we leave it to, if we don't have that sort of accountability and that sort of, clear understanding, then anybody and everybody will believe that somebody else is going to do it.
That's right.
So that's the reason why a response identification and giving authority to a response team is very important. Now, the response team, as I mentioned earlier, could vary from organization to organization. It could be one person, it could be 5 people.
Depending on the size of the factory and the number of people employed by them.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So then, the very important was to stock the workplaces with all the PPE and the disinfectant products, like for example, gloves, face masks, head caps, infrared thermometers, disinfectants, sanitizers, hand soaps, biohazards. So if you are going to have people coming in and work in your organization, you need to have all these things ready. So we maintained a system where what is the item, what is the specification of the item that needs to be maintained, and what are the quantities. but as a thumb rule, we had made sure that all these things we had at least 10 days stock in our premise at any given point in time. So that was the rule that we followed. Then, of course, PP usage.
Iqbal, Deepak.
Yeah, yeah.
I like to interject here. Iqbal, can you hear me?
I'm listening, Amit. Go ahead.
Okay. See, Deepak, can you go back to the previous slide, please?
Yeah.
So it's see, for a factory like big factory like yours, everything is so easy for somebody to manage it, maintain it. For a small company in a industrial area, this is going to be a challenge. So what is basic necessity also is very critical is biohazard container. That means that you have a dustbin is only for your throwing up your mask or used mask or used gloves. It cannot be combined with your paper scraps and stuff. That is very important. Second thing, your infrared thermometer. Now, as Deepak has mentioned in the previous slide, that somebody has to be responsible. So this guy will be responsible measuring temperature of everybody when they are coming in. And this is the same guy will check that these people who are working in the premises as wearing a mask, they're having a social distancing is, or they are washing the hand properly after they flushing the toilets, everything. So this is very important for a small companies also to maintain this hygiene. Deepak, go ahead now.
Yeah. Thank you, Amit. Okay, now in terms of face masks, now what is the protocol of usage? One was the inventory. So that is one we decided that, okay, we need so much inventory we need to keep for so different items. That was first thing. Second thing was how are they to be used? Now face mask, we decided that is to be worn compulsorily by every employee while coming into the factory. Without a face mask, no one will be allowed to enter the factory premises. Similarly, the same thing is with the hair net, that is to be worn compulsorily by every employee, and without it, not allowed. Hand gloves. Now here, if you see, it's written not recommended to be worn by all employees except the housekeeping and security team and few concerned employees. Why? Because hand gloves give a false sense of security and they don't really serve a purpose. Because what happens is when I'm wearing a hand glove, I become more careless. I will start touching areas which where I don't need to, because I will feel that I am protected. My hands are protected through the hand glove. You see, the coronavirus does not affect the hand. It is the hand becomes a transportation medium. That is when your hand then touches your face or mouth, that is when you get infected. So if you're wearing a hand glove or not wearing a hand glove, it does not give you a major sense of, it doesn't give you a security or a protection in that sense. On the contrary, it might give you a false sense of security. So that is why it is not recommended to be worn by all the employees, but it is recommended for people who are constantly handling the biohazard waste, like Amit Bhai just mentioned earlier, or the dustbins or those kind of things. Then yes, those people should be wearing hand gloves, but not anybody and everybody. So that's one point that I wanted to make. Then of course, we had a protocol for disinfecting different areas. Which are the areas? Different areas to be disinfected. So a general disinfection measures protocol should be followed regularly. And the housekeeping team is to sanitize and disinfect all areas of the premise with special attention to the following: workstations, individual workstations, computer screens and keyboards. These are the surfaces which are touched often, very frequently. Common surface areas like banisters, staircase banisters, or door handles, door knobs. These are the common surface, commonly touched surface areas. Cafeteria or a canteen or whatever you have for eating food and all that. Staircase banisters, as I told you, because anybody coming in, going out with has a tendency of touching those banisters. Locker rooms, if workers have that. Washroom, again, very, very important. Now, how in each of these places is done, I'll show in the further slides. Now, this is again the frequency. Again, a system is maintained for disinfecting frequency. That is, common surfaces, what will be the disinfectant use for common surfaces? And then what is the method by which the disinfection will be done? That is spray with a handheld supplier. And what is the frequency? So here we've written at the end of each shift, after 1 hour, after cleaning, 4 times a day, etc., etc. So each of these places were identified. What is the disinfectant content which is going to be there? What kind of a disinfectant is going to be used? What is going to be the method for disinfection? And what is the frequency? You see, when these kind of systems are designed and they are displayed, the chances of errors are minimized. So that is the only reason why these kind of templates, these kind of sheets are created, made, and then displayed at different areas, so that the people in the housekeeping don't really need to use their own judgment. It is, the system is already there. The predefined methods are already displayed, so they just need to follow it. That's the reason why such systems are made. Like for example, in transportation vehicles, sanitizing the transportation, every transportation vehicle before starting a route, whether from factory to the drop places or from drop places to the factory. Sanitizing right after arriving, the moment it arrives. Sanitizing all the surfaces, seats, dashboards, door handles, seat belts, etc. Supply of sanitizer for the employees who are boarding the buses. Ensuring that drivers are in good health condition, monitoring their health, it is very, very critical, because he's one person who's common, for all the trips. Bus drivers, they should always wear masks at all times, and temperature check of the drivers before the start of every route to eliminate any chances of infection being carried in the bus. Then of course, for the inbound and outbound materials, like we get a lot of raw material in our factory coming in and a lot of finished goods which go out. So how do we make sure that that is risk-free, that is safe? So actually the World Health or Health Organization, the WHO, advises that it is safe to receive packages from areas where COVID-19 has been reported, advising that the likelihood of an infected person contaminating commercial goods is low, and the risk of catching the virus that causes COVID-19 from a package that has been moved, traveled, and exposed to different conditions and temperature is also low. This is what WHO recommends or advises. However, if we need to be more careful, we need to make sure that we don't get the contamination or the infection through any of the materials that is coming into the factory or going out. We need to inculcate the habit of washing our hands very, very frequently every time we touch that material, using hand sanitizer, and of course avoiding your face, avoid touching your face, eyes, nose, or mouth with your hand. These are common general practices, safe practices, which need to be followed. Then of course, we had also identified an isolation area or an isolation room, that in the unlikely event that somebody might start showing some symptoms of COVID-19, we will need to isolate that person. So what are the areas, which are the rooms which can be made into isolation zones or isolation areas, so that in the evening shift or the night shift or any time, actually, if anybody starts showing any symptoms, that person can immediately be isolated to those areas.
Deepak, let me stop you here.
Yeah.
Let's go to this previous slide first, and then I'll come back to this one.
Sure.
Now, most of us who are in, say, an industrial gala or who are running a factory, the material that comes to us is with, the hamal or the mathadis or whoever who are unloading the material. So are we saying that if the material is reaching us, and if the mathadis, do the mathadis also need to be taken care of, so that because they are going to be the people who are going to be unloading? It doesn't really matter where the material is coming from. It is more relevant that it is being unloaded at our factories. Right. So the people who unload the material become a part of our organization, don't they?
Absolutely.
They need to be taken care of exactly as much as you would your own employees, so that this thing doesn't. So the package itself might not be a problem, but maybe the process of unloading could be a problem. So we need to. That is more important than anything else.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. In fact, certain things like today, I'm sure all of us are following certain norms when we get our groceries and our fruits and vegetables at our homes. Mm-hmm. Right? Anytime the material comes in, we try to keep it isolated at a designated place. Some people, have a box or something which is kept outside, where first you put it there, and then even when you take it in, you clean it up, and then you immediately wash your hands. The sanitize your hands with a soap water or with a sanitizer, and sanitize the surface of the packets that we get in. So similar hygiene protocol needs to be followed for every material that is coming in. And as you very rightly said, even the person who's delivering it, you can help and you can take them as your own and help them sanitize themselves also every time they come in.
Perfect.
With their products. So if you follow this kind of general hygiene thing, I think we should be good enough.
Now coming to your next slide, which is the isolation chamber.
Yes.
Now in our industrial estates or in our factories, we are not a Technova size to have that. So I think
Correct.
Amit has got a point over here as to how we can bypass this. What do you feel, Amit?
Yeah, see, it's like this. Is Technova can like a company can afford to have the isolation zone or whatever. Even they can. I know they have kept even 24/7 ambulance also, isn't it, Deepak?
Correct. We
So
have a
so
24/7 fully equipped ambulance. We have a CMO, that is a medical officer who's available 24 hours.
but like a unit in a industrial zone is not going to be possible. So how we can manage these urgencies? A simple way, we have to identify emergency number for a COVID response team in BMC or whichever doctors or ambulance available. So it could be displayed with the numbers everywhere. That this is the because no regular ambulance is not going to pick any COVID patient immediately. So you need a COVID response team numbers and doctors and hospitals nearby to your factory, which is very important. So we cannot afford to have isolation chambers, but at least we can do this. And also the doctor on the call. It is very important to put that in your whichever premise is small, big, large in an industrial zone. We can do that. Deepak, go ahead.
Absolutely. No, I just had a thought in my mind. I don't know whether it'll work, but just would like to share that. Is that suppose if there is a industrial estate, where there are a lot of printers. Now, maybe each individual company will not be able to obviously identify or designate an isolation zone. But if the whole industrial estate can maybe come together and designate some place, one room or one place, that okay, this could be our isolation area. So anybody in any gala showing symptoms can be isolated here. I don't know whether that is possible.
No, I think that is quite a good idea. What you're saying is right.
Yes.
That we as an industry, small industry, should get together, have a doctor on call, have a special room. I'm sure that all industrial estates would have one specific area where you can isolate the people and probably teach our securities to take the temperature and all that. So, it doesn't become an individual unit, but it becomes like something which can be taken care of by the larger industrial area.
Absolutely. No, there'll be a lot of these measures which will have to be done commonly as a common practice.
True.
So of course one can look at that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So then we move on now. Social distancing. Now everybody knows what is social distancing. Everybody has been talking about social distancing for the last, I think, 3 months. That's been the thing. But here what we did was, like, for example, at our okay, what is social distancing? It's basically staying 1 to 2 meters away from each other, because that has been defined as a distance, which is a safe distance to prevent the virus from traveling from one person to the other. And of course, eliminating direct contact, such as handshakes with co-workers, visitors, or friends, avoiding touching surfaces touched by others, avoiding visiting anyone who appears to be sick or is coughing or sneezing. And at Technova, we have drawn, as you can see in the picture, social distancing marks at the security gates and at various other places, which you will see in the pictures ahead, at our cafeteria, locker rooms, washrooms, etc. So that's what social distancing. And social distancing we are following in each and every area of the plant. For example, at the security gate, as I just mentioned to you. So the moment people start coming in, they keep standing in these circles. Their temperatures are scanned. They have to fill in a self-declaration form. Now, this is something which is again mandated by the industry, and which is that they have to write down there that what they have not traveled anywhere in the last 15 days, and etc. etc. It's a very standard form that comes, and everybody needs to fill that up. And everybody's hands are sanitized the moment they enter the factory. Then there is social distancing, which happens at shop floor. So if you see here also, the distance between any two employees is maintained here, even here, if you see in this plant. And where there could be areas, if you see this picture where I'm pointing right now, there could be areas where two people need to work in close proximity with each other. The process demands that. So what do? We create a barrier between them like this. Can you see the barrier? Between vertical barrier, so that even if one person, God forbid, has got some symptoms, they are not carried to the person opposite him. So these are the kind of measures that we have been following in our plants. shop floor. Then of course, even for shop floor meetings, there are a lot of shop floor meetings happens. But there also again we have designated how people are going to be standing in for these shop floor meetings, and definitely not more than 5 people per meeting. 5 people is the limit. It's like that section 144 or something. So you don't allow more than 5 people for any meeting under any circumstance. If you want, break up the meeting into two. And for every meeting, we have markers on the floor, as you can see below. And there people are supposed to stand at those places, not outside those areas, to maintain the social distancing there.
Deepak, can you hold on for a second? Can you go back to your entrance slide, the slide where the people were entering your premises?
Sure. Yeah.
Go back one more. Yeah, one more.
This one? One more.
No, previous one. Yeah. So what happened, friends? That what happens, friend? That here in the industrial estate, this is not going to be possible. That we keep this. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, we can all hear you. We can all hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So in industrial estate, this is not going to be possible because we don't have a private entry doors for our industrial unit. So what happens here? In a smaller unit, you have made somebody responsible who is seeing that when workers are coming directly, they go to the washroom, they clean their face with the water, everything. They will do everything what is possible in terms of cleaning the hair, face, hand, everything. Then somebody is giving them the disinfection or a hand, that is a sanitizer in the hand. And then somebody sees that they are wearing the mask and everything again after washing, cleaning everything there. So certain things we have to adapt as per the limitation of our environment. We can't expect that the industry estate will can do that. If they can do it, nothing like it. But till such time it doesn't happen, you follow a simple thing, which is bringing the worker directly to the washrooms and cleaning everything before they start working. Deepak, go ahead.
Yeah, Deepak, 1 second. Now, there are people in amongst the participants who have already begun their work, after they've been given permission. So I will just interrupt you for a few minutes. So I will ask Mr. Fahim and Mr. Nitin of Award to share experiences of theirs briefly of how they are managing this social distancing. So Nitin bhai, would you like to come in first?
Yeah, okay, I will start first, no problem.
Yeah. How are you managing your social distancing in your factories at Silvassa or Navi Mumbai?
Yeah, Silvassa, first of all, wherever on the printing presses, earlier we used to give 5 or 6 people depending upon the job, number of the colors. We requested our workers and asked them to reduce the numbers, at least 3 numbers or 4 numbers they can manage. So people are divided and there is equal social distance is being maintained. Same thing with other department like pasting and stripping. Also stripping, we have automatic stripping, so there is not much we are worried about the social distancing, because one machine, one person is handling, and so a lot of material can get stripped in that machine. And of course, all rest of the what Mr. Deepak has informed, that temperature checking, giving the mask, sanitizing, wherever gloves are essential, we give the gloves. Also, complete company morning and evening twice a day we do sanitize with the allowed chemical, and our all the whatever formalities we are following, we record it, maintain the documents, and after twice a week or thrice a week, health department people come and visit there, and they check all the records and they check with the people how things are being done. They check each and every area, they discuss with the individual people, and on that basis still we are able to run our plant.
But the initial, while the workers are entering, is the process similar? The protocol is similar as to what Deepak has just now mentioned?
Yes. The distance has to be maintained. In groups, they are not allowed to come. And one by one, after keeping distance of minimum 2 meters, first of all, the temperature is being monitored. If we find little bit temperature on higher side, we have a separate area, a separate cabin next to the security cabin, where we ask him to sit, let him settle down, let his temperature come to the normal. We check again his temperature, and if it is found okay, then we monitor it.
Fahim, I would like to, sorry, Nitin bhai.
Yeah, Silvassa is a green zone, and nobody is allowed to enter in the Silvassa, or nobody is allowed to go out. Okay. So the threat of COVID affecting is very less. Still, we are taking all the precautions, and the administration is asked us to take all the precautions, and which we are. And the main thing, they don't allow any workers to get the food from their home. There is a
Okay.
special kitchens are running in that area. We have to buy food from that kitchens only. So vehicle comes with the food, and we distribute that food to all the workers. The separate designated area where they of course, like pantry and all, they sit and eat over there, and that way we maintain. We have the lockers and all, which also we maintain cleanness and all what Mr. Deepak Chawla has mentioned. Same way, we have separate toilets area. We have means gents and female ladies toilets also, and adequate number of toilets on each floor. Each floor we have almost 10 toilets. So that is also we are able to maintain as per the guidelines. This is all things we are managing right now.
Fahim, you would be a smaller size than say maybe a ward in terms of size and probably an equal number of people. Are you finding this, what Mr. Deepak is saying, doable? Because you also have started your factory. So have you found this doable, or do you feel there are a few challenges that need to be sort of repurposed for our purposes, for our needs?
Yeah, I think my advice is, or that's what we've been doing, is to do the very, very critical things 100%. Instead of trying to do everything 10% and trying to create a charade, or trying to just knock off or write off or tick off that I've done every single thing. I've seen people using thermometers whose range is -40 to +700 degrees. So evidently it's not a body temperature thermometer. There's no use measuring. It's just creating a false sense of security. So just note down 5 or 7 of the most critical things which need to be done, and then see that is done 100%. Instead of doing 100 things 10%, do 10 things 100%. And in my opinion, the little that I've understood after hearing a lot of people is that this virus is transmitted by the droplets which come out when a person sneezes or when he coughs. An infected person sneezes or coughs, those things, when they come in contact with a person's hand and that hand goes to that other person's face, then he can get infected.
No, I'm sorry, Fahim, but now it is even while you're speaking. Huh? So that coughing, sneezing was there about 15 days back. Now, even when you're talking, so that's why these masks have now been
I wouldn't
requested.
agree with
Yeah.
that, Iqbal Bhai, because if you see in Dharavi, there is, it's a containment zone. There are lakhs of people staying in Dharavi. There is no social distancing happening. Let's not joke ourselves over there. But there are 25 people dead over there. So if it was airborne and traveling at the pace at which some people are saying it is traveling, then there would be thousands dead in Dharavi itself, or thousands affected. The hospitals would be full. So
I know,
don't
brother,
agree
but
with
that's something
but
that's
that's something for the medical
yeah,
people to get
yeah,
into. What
yeah.
I'm trying to say is that you maintain social distancing, which is 3 feet. 6 feet is impossible.
No, my question is that for a smaller size of converter
That's
like
what I'm saying.
us,
For a
yeah.
smaller size, 3 feet is perfect. Then masks, no compromise on masks. Washing hands 3 to 4 times a day. When you have those two people who work in close proximity, Deepak showed that there's a shield in between them, there's a film in between them. Instead of that, we have a person wearing the face mask, which is that polycarbonate mask which is there. So it creates
Amit, I think you've got
darker,
something which you can show, something similar.
Amit,
Yeah,
you can wear it and show it to people.
yeah, so something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
See,
So
this is the
kind
face
of,
mask. Yeah, and then you can wear it this like this. It's simple.
So
There's
instead
no.
of a partition, you can use something like this.
Yeah.
yeah. So this
Yeah,
what
fine, go
happens
ahead.
that it contains the droplets in your own area. But this mask also needs to be disinfected. It also needs to be cleaned. The mask which the workers are wearing, now we may tell everybody you have to wear masks, but can he afford a disposable mask every day? So we need to give them cloth masks, and there are also 2 of them. So one is washed and one is worn. Cloth masks are the best for these kind of workers. And we need to explain them that they need to wash it every day in the night. And when it's being dried, they use the other mask. The other thing is that before we started our factory, we did a thorough sanitization by Pest Control of India, where they came and sprayed the entire place. That, according to Pest Control of India, supposed to have deep cleaned the area away from all viruses and bacteria. I don't know how much to believe them, but one thing it definitely did do is give everybody a lot of confidence that this government recognized agency is doing this kind of deep cleaning. So definitely they were feeling more secure, the workers to work over there. Then on a daily basis, we're using something called sodium hypochlorite. This is being mixed with water, which is 400 ml to 5 liters of, 400 ml to 10 liters of water. Twice a day, this is being mopped. All the floors are being mopped. We can't use the same solution because after all, it's bleach. You can't use the same solution on the printing machines. Otherwise, the printing machine, the paint will come out eventually. So what we use on the printing machines is 70% alcohol, 30% water. For all areas, including our hands, we don't buy any external hand sanitizers. We fill 70% alcohol, and that is IPA, and 30% water. So to end with, do 5 things perfectly instead of doing 100 things imperfectly.
Nitin, by your comments, you wanted to have a word? Yeah.
First of all, what Fahim said about the thermometers. Okay. Whenever we started and the health department comes, they have inspected our thermometer and they have said that these thermometers are absolutely okay. So I don't know about the Navi Mumbai or other place in Mumbai, health department people visit or not, but at least our Silvassa plant definitely health people will visit twice a week. They check all the equipments, what we are using and all. And the sanitizing is must daily, because people are from the same area, but the raw material which comes and goes out, the vehicle comes from outside and inside. So we have to sanitize empty vehicle as well as vehicle which comes with the material also. And in the evening and morning, why we have to sanitize our plant? Because the germs which are being killed by the disinfectant, they don't prevent by coming new virus or new germs. They kill those germs which are settled on the surface. So, and also the chemical what we are using, the flash point need to be checked, because we also use high flash point washes the same way that chemical also has to be with the high flash point. So this is what I feel. And the second thing, we have been asked to keep hand wash. Like Fahim says that we can definitely IPA with the water mixing, we can use it. But each and every machine, we should have a small container which can give the IPA to the worker, because we are generally dealing with the metal and all. So frequently they need to clean their hands with the hand wash. And second thing, a mask company has to provide. They don't have to buy their own. This is written guidelines we have. Either washable mask company has to provide, or disposable mask has to be provided, and there is a typical procedure how to dispose those used masks also.
Gentlemen, I'll stop you here. I'm requesting, let's let Deepak finish his presentation, because there might be a lot of questions that we might have in the future. My question was very specific and pointed, is that are there any social distancing lacunas that we are facing? Anyway, so we'll ask Deepak to continue, and then probably we'll discuss this once the entire presentation is over. Sorry, Deepak, please go ahead.
No problem. Okay, I'll carry on.
Please.
So as we had just worked on this, I don't know why it stopped. Yeah. So we were on this social distancing on the shop floor meetings, and then even during shift change. Now, whenever there is a change of shift, we again need to make sure that employees enter or exit at the designated entrances and exits only. There has to be a gap between the entry and exit during the shift change. Avoid gathering when entering or exiting the premise. And if you're traveling by your own vehicle, remain in your vehicle until your shift begins. Don't come out and gather around or crowd around the gate or any other place. Practice social distancing, of course, when you have to wait in a line. And if you speak to someone in the line, make sure you do not directly face them. Try not to directly face each other when you're talking, because of what Fahim Bhai also explained about the droplets being, traveling from one person to the other. Do not touch the time clock or the entry door handle. Time clock is the time attendant machines, or the door handles with bare hands or fingers. There are many videos and many ways which are there on the net also today to show how safely you can open a door without really touching the door handles or door knobs. And do not touch your face before you have had a chance to wash your hands. That is very, 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 very critical, I guess. That any time you touch anything which might be even slightly suspect, first wash your hand. First wash your hand or sanitize your hand. Wash your hand or sanitize your hand, because that is the one most, I think, prolific way of getting infected. When the hand touches the mouth or the nose or ears, eyes or whatever. And of course, use of sanitizer before entering and exiting your workstation. Then, of course, social distancing in locker rooms, not more than 2 or 3 people allowed in the locker room at any given point of time, depending on the size of the locker room, to ensure social distancing again between workers, and entry restricted only to those people who have lockers, because generally we have seen that locker rooms become area of people just sitting around chatting, or some social talks or whatever happening. It becomes like an adda, if I would say. At these times, one needs to restrict entry of people in those places. And then there again, we have, if you can see in the picture, there are markings to ensure social distancing there also. And of course, washrooms.
Interrupt you for a moment.
Yeah.
This is Fahim here. I think what Deepakji showed in the previous slide is extremely important. Somebody needs to police this, because as much as we might explain our workers, they still do not understand this concept of social distancing. Let's understand that they come from houses which are 8 feet by 10 feet or 10 feet by 15 feet. So they don't understand social distancing, because in their house they cannot do it. So if you tell them to do it in your factory, they'll do it once in front of you, but they'll go back to the normal way. So every day, on multiple times in the day, somebody needs to police this and keep the reminder going on. By just putting up a poster on the wall, it hasn't worked in our place. And I'm sure it won't work at other places too. Physical
on this point, I
reminders
totally agree with Fahim, because we also have the same problem. People just don't understand the concept of social distancing. They come from backgrounds where, as Fahim rightly said, they don't want to stay away. They feel it's all okay. So you're right. We require people to constantly bombard them with this fact that social distancing is the most important thing that's going to help this country avoid the spread of COVID. Yeah, Deepak, please.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. Thank you, Fahim Bhai, and thank you, Iqbal Bhai, because it's a natural tendency, you see, to stand close to each other. And so unless one is consciously following it, one is consciously reminded of it, it'll be very difficult to follow that. Okay, now move to the next slide. This is now, in fact, even like, for example, our washrooms. Now, if you have, let's say, on the right-hand side picture, you're seeing 4 urinals. So the center 2 ones are blocked. So by force, 2 people who are entering the washroom, they will use only the 2 extreme ones. So the social distancing will automatically be maintained. So these sort of measures have been taken. And anyways, as you know that by law, I mean, most of the places, not more than 50% of the employees are allowed to be working at any given point in time. So that also helps in a way. So these are this is in the washroom. So
Deepak, hold on.
Yeah.
See, there'll be a problem with the industry estate where the workers goes to a common toilets. That's a big question, that in common washrooms, how are you going to maintain the social distancing? This is quite a challenge. So what the way?
No, but the same thing, Amit. They just have to block the toilets. I think this is the easiest way to do it, even in industrial estate.
Blocking is enough, but then there's 10 guys walking from different units. There'll be 10 different guys waiting outside. So there also, they have to wait outside in a distance. Also, when they're coming back from the toilet, they have to really sanitize themselves very, very, very categorically correctly. Otherwise, again, they will carry some germs and whatever. So that's a big challenge for a smaller industrial estate, smaller unit where industrial estate where the washrooms are outside. So that hygiene regime has to be even taught every day what to do.
True.
I think the biggest challenge what the industrial estates of Mumbai are going to face is that as per construction code, now if one urinal is required for every 10 workers or 15 workers if I'm not wrong, so those building codes are maintained in a private premises or private factory which is built. But in industrial estates, there are hardly 10 urinals and there are 10,000 people. So this kind of distancing in toilet, as Amit rightly said, may not be possible because those toilets were built years back and those building codes were not there. And today we are going to face this new challenge with those kind of old infrastructure. So this is going to be a challenge, and I don't think anyone has the answer for this right now.
Anyway,
But
I think what
whatever
Technova is
best
doing is giving
one
us
can do under the sun.
a chart, a roadmap. I think we'll have to find our own ways. Please,
Right.
Deepak, go ahead. Yes,
Yeah, some sort of customization will have to be done, as I had mentioned.
absolutely,
at the beginning.
absolutely.
So this is yeah, okay. So now this actually gets me to the end of whatever precautions and protocols we are following at the work premise. Now, if you actually see out of all the measures and precautions we are doing, there are two major mantras which come out. One is sanitize, 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 sanitize. Two, social distancing, social distancing, social distancing. If these two things are maintained at every place in your premise, I think half the battle is won there. Now, finally, the next thing is that at home, what are the things that now these are the guidelines which we have, which we share with our employees, that these are the things that they should try and follow. Of course, they will not be able to follow everything, but if they have a reference in front of them, if they have 20 things that we tell them that this is what you should do, even if they do 10 out of them, they are that much safe. I'll just quickly go through the list, or you can even read it. First is call home and inform whenever you start from the factory. Let them know that I've left the factory, I'm coming home. Someone at home should keep the front door open so that you don't have to touch the doorbell or the door handle. And a bucket of water and washing soap powder or a bleaching powder should be added to it, should be kept at the front door. That is before you enter your house. Now keep the things like car keys, pen, sanitizer bottle, phone, etc. in a box outside the door. Wash your hands in the bucket and stand with your feet in the water for a few minutes. Use this time to wipe and sanitize the items that you have placed in the box, which you have got from outside. Wash your hands with soap water again. Now enter the house without touching anything. Then the bathroom door should be also kept open by somebody with a bucket of detergent, soap water. Take off all your clothes, including your innerwear, and soak them in that bucket of soap water. Take a head bath with a shampoo and a body bath with the soap. Wash all your clothes or put them in a washing machine with a high temperature settings and dry the clothes in direct sunlight. Maintain social distance from people in your house as much as possible, preferably staying in a separate room if it is possible. Again, I'm saying that, and using separate bathroom if available. No visitors unless necessary. If you need medical attention, call ahead and ensure that you are going to the right place and take necessary precautions. Wear a face mask every time you are out of home. Wash household materials thoroughly after each use. Clean high-touch surfaces frequently using a household
which is a 432 rupees premium for every person working in your premises for 1 year. So once you enroll that, after 14 days, this insurance will come in place for 1 lakh rupee. If you want 2 lakh rupees insurance, which is 733 rupees. So I strongly recommend, if you want to safeguard the cost of even the expensive COVID treatment, this also safeguard for your workers, and when workers leaves, you can add on the new worker that is possible. So this is also one of the thing policy guideline you can add on. Go ahead, Deepak, please.
Yeah.
Deepak, just one question. Someone has just asked me that this policy guidelines which you're talking about at home,
Yeah.
I think what needs to be done at our factory is practically the same.
Yes. But there are certain more things that we have written there for home. For example, like saying something like, when you're calling up somebody and telling your family that, okay, I've left, I'll be reaching in 20 minutes. So if somebody there who keeps the door open, somebody there who keeps a bucket of water and soap water ready for you, so you are drastically reducing the chances of carrying the infection home.
Okay, correct.
These kind of things which are there, which will be different than at the workplace.
But Deepak, it is highly impractical if you have 200 people or 100 people, and those 100 people, this thing soaking their feet in the bucket at the factory
No,
gate. It is not possible.
no, this is
This is
not for factory. This is
it's
for home.
home.
This is for home.
No. What the question was, Iqbal asked that whatever this thing, the protocols you are means we are saying about home, if the same has to be replicated for plant, certain
No,
things are not possible.
no, no, no,
Right?
no, no,
No,
no.
that's true. That's true. I'm just trying to say that if you have a similar kind of a policy, even for work, as far as sanitization and cleanliness is concerned, it can be continued. Incidentally, I would like to mention to all the people who are participating in this webinar that they've had to switch off the videos. So only the panelists are visible just now. The videos have been switched off to conserve bandwidth and have smoothness of the webinar. Yes, Deepak, please go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. This list cannot be replicated in full at work. However, this list has got most of the things which are done at work, but certain additional things which can be implemented and practiced at home. That's what this list
Deepak, I
contains.
have one very important question for you. Now,
Sure.
company of your size, definitely you must have thought of. There are disinfectant chambers available which can be installed at the factory gate. Now,
Correct.
to address Amit's concern about the problem the industrial estate might face, if those are, my first question is how effective those chambers are, if at all they are effective, and if they are effective, what is the approximate cost and what is the operating cost or something, if you have studied this, which will help people having independent premises as well as the estate guys.
No, you are very pertinent and good question. We had looked at this. In fact, there are a few things that we are already projects which we are working on. The industry, not only the industry, but generally products for health and safety. And one of the projects that we were looking for was this sort of chambers. But we got mixed reports in terms of the effectiveness of those. And there is a team which is working out the costing and stuff like that, and how we can make sure that 100% effectivity is achieved. So right now, I don't have the details, but I will definitely get in touch with you to give you more details as soon as
Okay.
we.
But as far as I believe, there have been very conflicting reports about the use of the chamber, isn't it? So
Exactly. So that's exactly what I said. Yes.
yes.
नहीं, अगर पूरा 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 बॉडी को गीला करने वाला होगा या कपड़े को गीला करने वाला
No,
होगा
there
तो
are
it doesn't
conflicting
work.
views where there is no common consensus on whether this chamber
Correct.
is effective or not. So I
In
think
fact,
maybe
WHO has said that not to do it.
yeah, exactly. So it's
Okay.
not really it causes skin irritation and all that.
Mhm.
Nothing beats washing of hands with soap. Everybody by default is saying that this is the only way to sanitize yourself and to keep yourself safe. And as Deepak rightly said, one of the more important things is to not touch your mouth without washing your hands. As long as a couple of these things, as Fahim rightly said, 50 cheez mat karo, 5 cheez karo, lekin wo insist karo ke then people should follow that like a law. Simple. Okay, Deepak, how many more slides do you have? Or 1 minute, Amit,
I'd
let
like
us
to just
finish with
add one thing over here, Iqbal bhai. कि
yeah.
आपका जो eventual goal है ना वो 50 का होना चाहिए, but start with the 5 most critical things which are non-negotiable. Once it becomes a habit, then introduce 2 more. Once that becomes a habit, then introduce 2 more. आप पूरा ये टेक्नोवा का presentation अपने workers को बता देंगे कि कल से आपको ये करना है, तो जो वो भी भाग जाएंगे.
नहीं, important चीज ये है कि ये चीज ये महीना 15 दिन का बात तो है नहीं now.
बिल्कुल.
Let us all accept it that this is a long-term race for all of us. Whether it's going to be 3 months or 6 months or 1 year, हमको पता नहीं है. And even after COVID is successfully curtailed, ये जो systems अगर अपना चलता भी रहा है, तो I think this is generally good for our workers in our factory. So we have to put in strong systems. Yes.
If we don't start now, in a couple of months, our clients are going to demand these things. They're going to have audits to check whether all this is there or not. So we better get used to it. And therefore, I'm saying you take baby steps to the critical ones first.
No, the reason why this webinar was kept is that not everybody has the size of a Technova or an Award Packing or a CPL or a Parksons. We are looking at people who have smaller galas, who have smaller buildings. So this entire presentation was to create a roadmap. आप 100% तो वैसे भी जो टेक्नोवा कर रहा है वो नहीं कर सकेंगे, तो हम एक आइडिया क्रिएट करने की कोशिश करें ताकि when you're going to begin, whether it's on the 3rd of May or 15th of May or end of May, we have to be ready. So we are sharing documents कि भाई मशीन को किस तरह से चालू करना है, बट मशीन्स के लिए आदमी जरूरी है ना, और उनका ध्यान रखना ज्यादा जरूरी है. So this entire presentation has created a roadmap for all the people of our industry to initiate 5 steps, 10 steps, 20 steps to ensure that they reach the ultimate goal that Technova is asking us to reach. Yes, Amit, please go ahead.
So, what small thing which we have done, because the tunnel was not in a question that yes, good, bad. So, what we have done that we have put in a tap outside at the entrance of the factory, and we are using a lifebuoy soap when they're coming in. They thoroughly wash their hands and feet and face everything, and then the mask will be given. That is very critical. Then the watchman will give them a sanitizer, and one more which we added, little more precautions, that handheld hot air gun. So wherever even the liquid is not touched in anywhere, they have to wipe it with a high hot air gun, which is 600 degree. Of course, not that temperature, but with a high. So that's also whatever the chance of that carrying it inside, we are reducing it. Just small jugaad, what I'm telling you. But this is we
Incidentally,
started.
one question that keeps on coming to everybody's mind is that this social distancing and all that is a great idea, but there are certain processes, like the people who are say unloading, or the people who have to work in close proximity, like for example the assistant on the cutting machine. How, what kind of care is just the face shield enough to protect them? Because आप अगर सोच रहे हो कि माथाड़ी या पेपर अनलोडिंग करने वाले या पेपर लोड करने वाले शील्ड पहने तो वो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. So does somebody have some idea as to how to ensure social distancing for such kind of people? उसमें आप 50% भी नहीं कर सकते, because जो आपको चाहिए वो खाली करने के लिए वो चाहिए ही चाहिए. So does Deepak have an idea? Because I think their material would probably mostly be unloaded by, say, for example, a forklift or something. But for smaller units which have to use manual people to unload, is there an idea as to how to maintain social distancing?
So social distancing, what is the purpose of social distancing? Social distancing is so that the contamination or the infection does not travel from one person to the other.
Absolutely.
Now, for me to get infected, I will have to have those droplets getting into my system through my mouth, my nose, my eyes, my ears, whatever, open orifices, right? So if I'm able to block those either through a face mask wherever possible or through a face shield wherever possible, if I'm able to do that, that is one which I can do, whether it is a mathadi or whoever. At least face mask तो दिया जा सकता है उनको. दूसरी चीज ये है, whenever I come in contact with any surface, any outside surface, immediately wash my hands. If these two things, if we do properly and diligently, religiously, I think we will save ourselves to a large extent.
Lovely. Deepak, are you done with your presentation? Are there any more slides left?
One or two slides more.
Please complete your presentation, because if there are any more questions pertaining to that, then maybe we can take them together.
Sure. Now, basically, this was all about what we have done internally for our factories and for our RDCs, our warehouses, godowns, everywhere we are following. But as I said, the policy that we have created, but not more than that, we've been keeping the communication on with our customers. Now, for example, just to give you an idea, that we have had about almost, why is my cursor not moving? Okay, we have all these on the left hand side. If you see on top, there are these EDMs which we have been sending out. That is, stay home, stay safe, stay engaged. Stay home, stay safe, stay fit. Stay home, stay safe, stay well. That is the stay engaged was basically to give guidelines on nowadays with this lockdown, there are a lot of young kids which are at home and they get very restless being at home. So how to engage with them? Constructively engage with them. Stay fit, of course, as you can understand, is how to keep yourself physically fit. With Amit Bhai also keeps saying exercise. So what are the exercises that one can do at home in the confines of home? And then stay well is the one where we talk about how to maintain your, just a second, how to maintain your sanity, mental sanity in that sense, mental, emotional sanity. Being either computers, plate setters, processors, etc. What are the checklists? How do you restart them safely? Then how to restart using offset printing plates, whether it is thermal plates, violet plates, chem-free plates, etc. How to restart using printing blankets. Then our customers who are using inkjet CTP systems, how to restart them, how to restart large format printers after long lockdowns. Then we also have a whole set of AVs or videos which we have posted on our YouTube channel, which talk about how to restart or take care of your Konica Minolta digital devices. So if I were to divide these into different parts, I would say that the ones which we are talking about, the Konica Minolta presses and all, those come under the brand name of Reboot. So there are AVs there. So we have sent out links to people where people can, click on those links and see those videos. They are in Hindi as well as English. And then the other ones, I can classify them as soul messages to help people go through the lockdown. And the other messages are mind messages, which are more to do with business and to technical issues like that. So in case if you would want us to send these even to all the members of BMPA, we can do that. This might help.
Deepak, I think this would be a good idea if you can send them as a consolidated, like how this PPT is.
Yeah.
We will share it with the members of our BMPA through a single email. And then probably they'll be able to click on it and be able to see them individually, whatever is required by them. Absolutely. I think what you made a very, very relevant point is the first line in red in bold, keeping the communication on. Yeah. I think we'll need to keep the communication on with our workers, with all our channel partners, with our customers, because that is what is going to help us get through these very, very tough times and very, very essential. Yes, Fahim, you had some comment? You're on mute.
Lots of questions which are coming in. I would suggest we now open it up to question answers because I'm sure people have a lot of queries.
Yeah. Just one more slide, Fahim bhai. I'll just finish.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so finally, we just want to say that we are very happy to say that we delivered, that despite the huge hardship faced by our people and the supply chain disruption, the Technova is one of the only suppliers to the print industry that worked 24/7 and overcame every obstacle to ensure that the products reached our customers and that newspapers and packaging printers could print. And this would not have been possible without the tremendous support of our customers. There are instances where our newspaper customers actually would pick up our people from their houses and drop them at the factory, so that we could run. Without the full support of the district collector of Raigad, the police and other local appropriate authorities, because at every district and every city in India where we had we have our godowns and our regional distribution centers, we had to take permissions from them to operate. So all of them have been very, very cooperative. And we have some great list of logistic service providers who have been offering us trucks and vehicles on demand, literally. And the never say die attitude and spirit of Technovites. And of course, with a lot of guidance from the guy up there, call him God, call him whatever. So a lot of divine guidance. So it wouldn't have been possible without them. So that's what I wanted to say. I think, and we have been partnering, and we are proud that we've been partnering the Indian printing industry for close to 5 decades now, and have been an example of Make in India. So that's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepak. We would like to see you again. Please stop sharing your screen. We would like to see you again.
Sure.
Now to a few questions where people have said that we are not BMPA members and we would still like to get all the links. My request is please become BMPA members. There are lots of things apart from this which is also shared by BMPA. So Deepak Chawla's presentation and his points will of course be shared. But all those who are not, this is a perfect opportunity. Become a member and you will be a part of all these things that are shared. And there are going to be a few webinars which have been planned. We'll keep you posted. One of the questions that has been consistently being asked is, what is everybody's view on central air conditioning? Because there is a large question on closed areas and closed conditioning. Now, all our machines, whether it is CTP or offset, are working under central air conditioning. So I did read a message saying that you should keep your temperature 24 degrees and above, because this virus does not survive as well in temperatures about 24 degrees. Is there some view? I'm sure none of us are qualified as doctors, but what has been the general consensus on air conditioning and especially central air conditioning? Deepak, you go first.
So yes, I've been also reading a lot of material on this, saying that yes, it has a propensity of traveling through air ducts and AC ducts, etc. whether it's our factory or at my home, I mean, we anyways keep the temperature beyond 25 because that's what I feel is a comfortable temperature. But what I've heard in terms of the ability of the virus to survive, I think it has an issue with temperature only if it goes beyond 50. So to reach, obviously, I mean, none of us are going to keep our temperatures to that level. But yes, I mean, one needs to, one will have to wait and watch. I don't think that is so much of, because if that was the issue, then the hot climate area countries, even UAE and all these places where temperatures touch around 40, 45 would not have been suffering from the virus.
No, that's not the point. The temperature is not the point. It's a closed confinement in an air
Of
conditioning area, which
course,
has been a question.
no,
So
close
that's
areas
why
of,
the 24 degrees and plus.
you
So
see,
of course, it's not that the heat is killing it. There's definitely no proof of that.
yeah,
Though India and the rest of the subcontinent is proving the entire Ganit wrong of all the doctors of the world. So maybe temperature is playing a small role, but we are talking about close confinement. So that's why they're saying when you travel in a car, try and switch off the air conditioning and keep your windows open. Similarly for our offset departments and our CTP departments and our plate making departments. So is there some theory behind it? Is someone aware of any further study on this?
no, I think that is very, very clear that all the areas should be well ventilated, which I've mentioned in the presentation also at many places, even at your home and even in the workplaces. The more you can keep the area well ventilated, the less chances of the droplets to be suspended in the uh, air around you, to remain suspended. So there
So the
was
moot point is the ventilation and not the temperature. That's I think what is more relevant.
exactly.
Okay.
That's what I feel, but I'm sure
Iqbal
other
bhai, I
people
think
will have views.
I'll
Yes,
add
Sanjay bhai.
something. I'll add something to this. Now, today we are talking about air conditioning environment of our factory, but see the fact that the hospitals having ICU units or all the hospitals are mostly centrally air conditioned now. The
No,
modern
they have
hospitals.
filtration systems which are very strong, Sanjay bhai. Very
No,
strong
so
filtration systems.
those filtration systems, once for all, if at all required, for our central air conditioning system or specifically our printing department. See, in our industry, I doubt means very few must be centrally air conditioned. It can be air cooled partially or air conditioned. So we also can go for those kind of HEPA filters or something. I don't know as of now. I have not discussed with anyone, but definitely we'll have to go for such kind of systems or filtration plants, which avoid this kind of contamination in future. And I think technologies will come, such filtration systems will come to take care of these kind of issues.
One additional point I would like to make is that although it was just fever and cough earlier, there are a lot of other things also which now the health authorities are mentioning, which could be one of the symptoms of COVID. So whether it's a diarrhea or whether it's feeling of tiredness or even pink eye. If people are having reddish eyes, then all these are symptoms of COVID. So a lot of study is still going on. What we need to do is that have so much communication with our workers that they're aware that they need to inform us or the local health authorities of anything that they are suffering from, and then it should be measured. That's the point that I would like to make to all the participants who are there. Yes, Amit bhai?
See, in a close proximity of a binding environment where many people are doing all these manual jobs. So simple, you can't have a partition like a plastic, what Deepak has shown that packing like. So simple is the shield, whichever shield you use, it is because one of the questions somebody's asked, what about the binding or department where so many people are going to have the manual operations. So best is just to, because once you have a shield, you don't have to use N95 mask. You use the Sada mask also simple, so it covers off. It's just a safeguarding. It's nothing is 100%, but it's more of safeguarding.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Nitin bhai, you have any point to make? Fine.
I think that the virus is 1/10 of a micron, so no filter at present is going to trap that particular virus size. So let's not try and become medical guys. Let the
Yes, exactly.
direction come from the government. We use this filter in the air conditioner, or do this, do that. What we can do is we can ventilate, like how if you keep the AC on for 3 hours, then open all the windows for 2 hours, let the fresh air come in and exhaust the old air in the room, some measures like that.
And mopping and stuff.
Let's wait for some direction to come from government. Let's not jump the gun.
I agree. I think in order to help the government, we should all start implementing the Arogya Setu on our phones so that it sort of creates a database for the government to take action whenever there's a problem. And to answer one question of Noel of yours, that if heat was a problem, then Singapore has got a lot of cases. But if you see correctly, Singapore's cases are only where the migrant workers are staying together in a very large group in close proximity. We are realizing that even in Mumbai, the number of cases are mostly from areas where people have been confined to very close places. The reason for having this webinar is that our factories are similar to places with close proximity. That is why we are all going to take care so that those mistakes are not repeated by us in terms of social distancing, in terms of sanitization, in terms of regular control of, using sanitization processes to cover our floors, see to it that our workers have the temperature taken. So I think if we take adequate care, then we have a very, very good chance of fighting COVID. Deepak, you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
fine. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we have, Fahim, you have a point?
Fahim by association.
I think we've come to the end, but I've got a very important point. It may sound a bit controversial, and I'm happy to take your questions on it. What I've been telling my workers is that Corona, COVID-19 is not a curse. It's a disease. Unfortunately, because of the misinformation and WhatsApp and the press, our workers feel that agar kisi ko corona ho gaya hai, to usko shraap lag gaya hai, and he becomes an untouchable person. That's not the truth. The truth is that a lot of us are going to get some version of corona, be it mild, very mild, and we are going to recover and we are going to become normal. And we are going to be friends and we are going to be relatives and we are going to be workers, co-workers. We are not going to fight or we are not going to, distance ourselves forever. We are doing a physical distance of 3 feet. We are not breaking our ties. So this is something which we need to explain our workers, that if somebody has got it in your building or in your Bajuka building, that doesn't mean that, and everybody who gets it is not going to die. This is something which needs to be explained to our guys, that whilst we need to be very, very careful, but we need to understand that every person who gets it is not going to die, is not going to even be very serious. It can be where a lot of us are going to have mild symptoms, and we are going to get better. That positivity needs to be brought into the organization.
I think on that very sensitive and very important point, I think we close this webinar. What Fahim said is very relevant in terms of communication to our workers, even to people around us. This point needs to be made very, very specifically clear that this is not a curse. It is just a damn flu. It's just that there is no medicine for it now, but I'm sure that 95% of us will not even realize it. We'll be out of it in no time. Of course, there will be a 5% who the government is now adequately, I think they're adequately ready, all countries of the world, to take care and ensure that the deaths don't happen as easily as what they've been happening in Italy and Spain. So on that very positive note, thank you all. Yes, Nitin bhai, you have a point, please.
Tushar Dote wants to share some of his.
Nitin bhai, we have put everybody on mute. So except for the panelists, we can't really make that person speak. That's why you did point it out to me. But unfortunately, unless we had made him a co-host, we wouldn't be able to. Otherwise, I would have definitely going to ask Tushar Dote a question.
Fine, thank you.
So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for being a part of this webinar. We wish you all the luck. And please look forward to having some more of this from BMPA. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.